The House will come to order. All members take their seats. All guests, please clear the aisle. Just a little something.
Well, I wouldn't expect much.
The clerk will please unlock the machine, take the roll. All members record their presence by pressing the green button. Is there any member present not yet voted? Please do so. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 69 members present. There is a quorum. All rise for the invocation to be delivered by Representative Gregory Constantino from the fine town of Lincoln. Representative Constantino, please.
Mr. Speaker, Almighty God, we give you thanks for the gift of this day. Bless and guide our leaders through these difficult times and grant them the wisdom and patience to best serve the state and all its people. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business is the Journal. I would just like to announce that the Journal has two editions, and the Journal that we will be approving hopefully in a moment, in recognizing Representative Price and Representative Knight yesterday, I neglected to recognize the branch of the service that they so honorably served when we recognized the veterans and membership. By the way, that was very touching for me personally, and on behalf of myself to all the veterans, thank you. But I want to, for the record, the Journal will reflect that Representative Justin Price was a Marine and Representative Jason Knight served the Navy. So thank you again, all of you. And with that change, is there any objection to the approval of the Journal of the previous day? Hearing none, so ordered. Next order of business is communications. Clerk, are there any communications? Please read.
Representative Ramon Perez is unable to attend session today, Thursday, June 3rd, 2021.
Thank you. It's received and placed on file. Next order of business is new business. Is there any new business today? Representative Kislak with new business. Chairman Solomon with new business. Representative Carson with new business. Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson with new business. Chairman Craven with new business. Representative Baginski with new business. Representative Falella with new business. Chairman Bennett with new business. New business coming in late, but new business coming in and is still available in the session. Any other new business? We can come back to new business. The next order of business is today's calendar. Leader Blazajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
One second, please. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In consultation with the sponsor, we'd like to recommit item number 1, please.
So ordered.
And Mr. Speaker, can we move items number 4 and 10 to the bottom of the calendar?
So ordered. Items number 4 and 10 to the bottom of the calendar, please. Clerk, please call the next item.
Item number 2, number 5827 sub A.
Chairman McNamara, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 5827 substitute A by myself would require the Department of Education in collaboration with the Attorney General to collect and publish data concerning school resource officers in each district, including use of force against students, arrest, and reference to law enforcement in courts. It's supported by Rhode Island Kids Count, the ACLU of Rhode Island, and many youth groups that have mentioned concerns relating to school resource officers. Good data, Mr. Speaker, supports good public policy, and that's what this is about, is getting the actual data. I move passage.
Chairman McNamara moves passage, seconded by Representative Knight, Chairman Bennett, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Representative Kislak, Representative Felix, Representative Potter, Representative Casimiro, Representative Shawcross Smith, Representative Kazar, Representative Cortravine, Representative Agello, Representative Morales, Deputy Speaker Lima, Chairwoman McEntee, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Leader Blazajewski, Chairman Abney, Representative Donovan, Representative Rangel Vassar, Representative Speakman, Representative Carson, Representative Henrys, Representative Amore, Representative Bia. Any other seconds? Representative Agello, I said, I believe, and Chairwoman Fogarty also seconding. There are no seconds on the bill. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Speaker. Would the chairman yield, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did the Attorney General's office testify that additional FTEs would be necessary to acquire, analyze, and publish this data?
Just a minute, please. Please, there's debate on the floor. Continue.
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. On the bill, Representative Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to rise in strong support of this bill. The question of police officers in schools is not what we're debating today, but absolutely we need that data. In my time in the law enforcement system as a prosecutor and defender, I have seen children as young as 10 brought in cuffs on disorderly conduct charges by resource officers. So we need to understand how the resource officers are doing their thing, and maybe someday put in some stronger guidelines for them than we have today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Knight. Thank you for that clarification as your experience in the justice system as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. Thank you. Representative Rangel Vassar, please, on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand in strong support of this bill, but I do have a question for the chairman.
Chairman, will you yield? He will yield.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to find out from you if this bill is broken down by race, gender, and ethnic background. Are we gathering that data as well?
Yes, and I will, if you just give me 1 second, Representative. On line 21 and 22, it reads, students shall be collected and designated by the student's age, grade, race, ethnicity, gender, language, and disabilities to the extent that such data would be non-discriminatory.
Okay, I am pleased to hear that because, as you probably know, when police officers are in schools, black and brown, and children receiving special education services, those kids are the first ones to be taken out in handcuffs. So I just wanted the record to reflect that. But I really support this bill. It's a great bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the bill, Whip Chippendale.
Thank you, Speaker. I think this approach is fantastic. Data-based legislating and legislating on the facts that we learn from the appropriate authorities is what we should do more of. So I'm confident that after we start getting these reports, we'll have a picture will be painted that will allow us, whichever direction we end up going on this topic, will allow us to go more intelligently towards the goals that we aspire to reach. And I think that approach, frankly, could be used across all of what we do, but I'm glad to see that we're adopting it. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Whip. Representative Lombardi, on the bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tough navigating these masks sometimes.
We're all getting used to going back home.
Well, you know what else? I don't like being shut up, so that's just a bad habit I have, Mr. Speaker. Anyway,
I will not comment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have a question, and it's a question for the chair or whoever. Does this fly in the face of the Policeman's Bill of Rights at all? If we're going to be collecting data about police officers, and it's more in the form of a question This is not like a trick question, so anybody can...
The chairman will yield.
There was no testimony from anyone regarding that would fly in the face of, so I think if there was, we would have heard from some of the police unions.
So we're going to be collecting data about police officers, right? Student resource officers. And that information is going to be passed on to the Attorney General and to everyone else. And it's funny, a police officer commits a crime, never gets in the public eye. I'm just curious how this is going to happen, but thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative McLaughlin on the bill, please.
Speaker, question for the sponsor of the bill.
He will yield. Chairman McNamara, will you yield? He will.
Yes, Chairman McNamara. Where's the Police Chiefs Association stand on this bill?
They did not take a stand on this bill. They did not testify.
Either way.
So, either way.
Okay. What I'd like to reiterate, any movement forward, protecting our children, resources, officers, at the same time, this year, our cops have been put through hell. All right? With the riots in the streets and everything else. I personally witnessed, all right, in Cumberland High School. To get out of school, all the traffic was jammed up, all right? 2 girls fighting. Police officer comes up, tries to break it up, okay? He's got one girl he's trying to back off. The other 2 are hitting him in the back of the head, all right? Just whacking him and kicking him. Yeah, you know something? I don't know where the hell this is going to end, but, it's sickening. I stand with my police officers. If it's going to hurt them in any way, I'll be against this bill, period.
Thank you, Representative. On the bill, Chairman Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I rise in support of this bill. I think we forget sometimes what the bill actually says in the language. It's in regard to collecting, reporting, and publish on its website data on these various items. So just like how there are FBI statistics out there, they're just publishing numbers and data as to the occurrences of such. I don't believe it's specific to any particular instance or provide any details, but it's just data so that we can make more informed decisions as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. On the bill, Representative Tansey, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to be added as a second on this bill. And
so ordered.
Thank you. And just, reading through it again, it's just 7 lines. The only data specific to the officers is the number of school resource officers per district. And it doesn't ask for the actual police report or anything. It just asks again for inputs, data inputs. So I don't see how this could be in violation of any of the Policeman's Bill of Rights. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you. It's just allergies. Thank you. And with that, there are no other lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, lock the machine. There are 69 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 3, number 5829, sub A.
Chairman McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 5829, substitute A by Representative Beer would mandate the Department of Education to provide rules and regulations to streamline English as a second language and/or English language learners teaching certification, to allow for reciprocity to persons who hold Massachusetts teaching certificates with similar certifications, provided cohorts for teachers to take classes to obtain a certification and conduct classes at the individual school level. It is supported by Rhode Island Kids Count, Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition, Rhode Island Federation of Teachers, numerous teachers, Representative Bia has seen a need for this as an administrator in Providence, and this will streamline the process for certification. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
Chairman McNamara moves passage, seconded by Representative Carson, Representative Speakman, Representative Rangel-Vassell, Representative Donovan, Chairman Abney, Representative Amore, Representative Henrys, Representative Bia, Leader Blazajewski, Chairwoman McEntee, Representative Morales, Representative Agello, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Representative Constantino, Representative Kazad, Deputy Speaker Lima, Representative Cortravan, Chairwoman Fogarty, Chairman Corvesi, Representative Slater, Chairman Hull, Representative Lombardi, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Representative Kislak, Chairwoman Williams, are you seconding? No, Chairman Bennett is seconding. Representative Giraldo, Chairman Casey, Chairman Solomon, Representative Stephen Lima, Representative Potter, Representative Felix, Representative Casimiro, Representative Elzate, Representative Magor, Representative Barrows, Representative Messier, Whip, Kazarian, and Representative Price, all seconding on the bill. There are no lights. There are no lights. Clerk, unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All representatives, please vote. Clerk, lock the machine. There are 70 in the affirmative, 71 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act prevails. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 5196 sub A.
Chairman Casey.
Can I have my microphone? I can't read when I'm standing up. Thank you, Speaker. House Bill 5196 sub A by Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy. This is regarding the price cap on insulin-related medications. This is a good bill. I move passage, and at the proper time, I do have a floor amendment.
Thank you. Chairman Casey moves approval, seconded by Chairman Solomon, Representative Casimiro, Representative Giraldo, Representative Potter, Representative Elzate, Representative Felix, Representative Tabone, Representative Lima, Whip Kazarian, Representative Magor, Representative Barrows, Representative Roberts, Whip Chippendale, Representative Fenton Fung, Representative McLaughlin, Representative Tanzi, Representative Kislak, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Chairman Corvesi, Floor Manager Edwards, Chairman Edwards, Chairman Azanaro, Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, Representative Kazar, Representative Constantino, Representative Handy, Representative Shawcross Smith, Representative Agello, Representative Cortravan, and Representative Chairwoman Fogarty. Representative Donovan, Representative Rangel-Vassell, Representative Speakman, Representative Carson, Chairman Abney, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Bia, Representative Henrys, Representative Amore, Representative Phillips, Representative Hawkins, Representative Cardillo, Representative Mazakowski, Representative Morales, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Chairwoman McEntee, Representative Norey, Chairwoman Williams, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, as well as Chairman Hull and Representative Lombardi. I should have said the entire chamber. Any other seconds? There are none. You have an amendment. It's the appropriate time.
Thank you. The amendment is LC 000335/2.
Chairman Casey moves LC 000335/2. Seconded by Chairman Solomon. On the amendment, please, Chairman Casey.
Just the change. Thank you, Speaker. The amendment just does a deletion. If we look at the bill, it's on page 1, lines 9 and 10. It deletes the following language: regardless of the amount or type of insulin needed to fill the covered person's prescription. What this does, the deletion of this language allows for the insurance providers to negotiate with the drug manufacturers for lower pricing, which in turn allows them to put a $40 cap on the insulin copay. I move passage.
It's already been moved and seconded. Thank you. There are no lights on the amendment. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in favor, please vote green. Any in the negative, vote red. Clerk, please lock the machine. There's 72 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The bill stands amended. Back on the bill, Leader Filippi.
Would the sponsor yield briefly, please?
I think the Speaker Pro Tem will yield.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. I understand there's been executive orders on the federal level dealing with insulin prices. Is this in response to the recent suspension by President Biden of President Trump's executive order, which substantially reduced the cost of insulin?
So in actuality, no. This is the third year that this bill has been introduced. So it was introduced 3 years ago. At that time, because of the fact that we were seeing a product like insulin, which only costs pennies to make, suddenly costing hundreds of dollars out of pocket for families. So I introduced it back in 2019. Last year, obviously, we weren't able to get anywhere. And then this year, we were able to come together, and between the pharmaceutical companies, the drug companies, the health insurers in Rhode Island, and the American Diabetes Association come to this final piece of legislation.
Thank you very much. I'm happy we're able to undo some of the damage by the Biden administration repealing Trump's executive order, which, please, we can all be so partisan, but I can assure you, people throughout this country saved thousands of dollars under that executive order, which Joe Biden repudiated his first week in office. So we need to do this for the people of the state of Rhode Island. Thank you, Speaker.
Please keep your comments to the bill, everybody. Representative Morales.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in full support of this bill because, as we all know, across our state, over 80,000 adults have diabetes, which is more than 10% of our adult population. And unfortunately, one of the main drivers for this bill is the fact that each and every single year, the cost of insulin continues to skyrocket, disproportionately affecting working people on limited incomes. And so for context, the average cost of insulin out of pocket for a type 1 diabetic in Rhode Island is well over $200 a month, despite the fact, as alluded by Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, only costs us about $3 to manufacture a single vial, which is a week's worth of supply for most people. So as a result, we currently have thousands of working people in our state who are either forced to ration their insulin or stop taking this prescribed medication because they simply cannot afford their daily doses. So by limiting the monthly out-of-pocket expenses for insulin at $40, we will ensure that this life-saving medication is finally accessible to everyone. And before we vote on this bill, I really wanted to thank Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy and Representative Grace Diaz for this bold leadership on this issue. Because at the beginning of this legislative session, all three of us had separate pieces of legislation to address the cost of insulin. So naturally, after we had our first committee hearing, we all came together and collaborated on this bill. So as a freshman in this chamber, it was an absolute honor to work with you both to ensure that working people in our state have the medication that they can afford, because this should be one of the top priorities in our state, to make sure that our people are healthy. So thank you again, and I urge our colleagues to vote yes on this life-changing bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lombardi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oh, this is a subject that's near and dear to me, as you know.
Myself, too.
You could ask your father that, obviously. But, great bill. I'd like to be co-sponsoring it, if I may. I don't think I am a co-sponsor, but I'd love to be. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker and members of this chamber, the bill doesn't go far enough. It really doesn't. Because when you talk about insulin, you don't drink it, you don't smoke it, you don't pick it up by osmosis. Certain things you got to do. You need lancets to test your sugar. You need strips. You need needles. You need syringes. 200 a month? Is that what somebody said? It's way more than that. The strips alone are 70, 80, 100 bucks. So you know what I say? Let's waive the 40. Let them use that for the stuff that you need to administer the insulin. I'm sorry, I should be addressing you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just looking at my colleagues who suffer from that malady. I'm also looking at myself, you know. But
we all do. We all do.
It's a disease. My endocrinologist not too long ago, I got a letter, and one of the best guys in the world, Preston Lamberton, he's at the Joslin Clinic, and he said, well, I think I'm going to be leaving in May of this year. And he sent me a letter in November. He says, I'm all done. That was in December. So I called him. I said, doctor, what's going on? He says, I can't stand seeing people losing their eyesight, cutting their limbs off, and a whole bunch of other things that I don't even want to talk about. So this is a scourge. This is a scourge, this disease. We got to get in front of it. Diet, exercise, behavior modification, education. It's very, very important. And take it from a guy who's a blustery 250. It's not good. I wish I was 182 like I was in high school, but unfortunately I'm not. I became an old man. But this is very, very important, Mr. Speaker. But like I said, I wish we could go further. It's a start, but I just hope that we continue the conversation and we do what we need to do to get this scourge done with and finished. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the committee.
Thank you. Chairwoman Diaz, on the bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I rise in 100% in support of this bill. This is one of the bills that exercise very well the word compromise, because we had an opportunity to work together, Rep. Davis Morales, as he mentioned, and Pro Tem Rep. Kennedy and myself. And it's an issue that Rep. Lombardi addressed very well. And many people in Rhode Island facing the difficult time to dealing with diabetes, low income, difficulty, life issues that all impact in diabetes situation. So I will end by saying that here, secretly, we have a sugar team group, and it's established by people who has diabetes. It's a secret club, and the only requirement you need, you know, Mr. Speaker, is to be diagnosed with diabetes. Also, November 14, for 10 years, we are celebrating the World Diabetes Day in the state of Rhode Island to bring awareness about the disease, to bring resources for people. And because of the COVID, we had a great opportunity to do a wonderful event online. I encourage all of you to follow that information, to share with your constituents, to be sure they know where the doctors are, where you can exercise free, where you can have resources, and now the great opportunity to purchase affordable insulin for everybody in Rhode Island. So kudos to my great friend Kennedy and David Morales for the advocacy, and myself as Speaker. So thank you.
Thank you. Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, please, on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I too rise to thank Chairwoman Diaz as well as my colleague, Representative Morales. Throughout this, it has really been a collaborative process, trying to keep everybody informed as to what was going on. When we introduced the bill, we each had our own version of the bill. And at that time, we were trying to come to an agreement as to what kind of copay we could actually have for this. When you look at the states that have adopted this legislation so far, 18 states have already passed legislation. Other than our neighbor to the north, Massachusetts, the rest of New England, the New England states, have already passed legislation. The majority of the states that have passed this legislation have chosen a copay of $100. At $40, I think we're doing a very good thing for our constituents throughout the state of Rhode Island. And as Representative Lombardi noted, when we originally looked at this, we actually were looking to try to do something about the cost of supplies. I think that is probably going to be something that we're going to look at next year. This is pretty much giving us a chance to get our feet in the water, and once we've got this established, then we can go after the next step in this process. But I think this is going to really do something great for those people who are dealing with this terrible, terrible disease. They shouldn't have to decide whether they are going to pay for rent or pay for food or pay for gasoline or buy that insulin that they need to save their life. So this is a great step forward, and I urge you all to support this legislation.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. And with that, there are no other lights on the bill. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 71 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Thank you. Next docket item, please.
Item number 6, number 5544.
Chairman Casey, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Item number 6, 5544 by Chairwoman Fogarty. This is regarding relating to business and professions, the Board of Medical Licensure and Discipline. This bill it includes a definition of an unprofessional conduct while performing a pelvic examination without the consent of an anesthetized or unconscious female patient. This is the most common sense legislation I've seen this year. I move passage.
Thank you. Chairman Casey moves passage. Seconded by Representative Carson, Representative Speakman, Representative Rangel-Vassar, Representative Donovan, Representative Henrys, Chairman Abney, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Beer, Representative Shawcross-Smith, Representative Agello, Representative Morales, Chairwoman McEntee, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Chairwoman Bella Wilkinson, Representative Kazar, Deputy Speaker Lima, Representative Cortravan, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Chairman Hull, Representative Tanzi, Representative Lombardi, Chairman McNamara, Chairman Corvasi, Chairwoman Diaz, Floor Manager Edwards, Chairman Bennett, Representative Giraldo, Representative Lima, Representative Casimiro, Representative Potter, Representative Alzate, Representative Felix, Whip Kazarian, Representative Magor, Representative Roberts, Representative Messier, as well as Representative Norey and Representative Amore, all seconding the bill. There are no lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 72 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 7, number 5148, sub A.
Chairwoman Ruggiero, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the House. H5148 sub A by myself and my co-sponsors, Leader Blazajewski, Whip Kazarian, Reps Cortrian, Carson, McGaw, and Morales, was unanimously voted out of House Committee on Innovation, Internet, and Technology. The bill establishes a broadband coordinator in Commerce, Rhode Island, and establishes a voluntary broadband advisory council. For the past 6 years, Rhode Island has been one of only 2 states in the country, the the other is Mississippi, that has not had a broadband coordinator or any entity. So as a result, we have missed out on a lot of federal dollars for technology and broadband. So it's time that Rhode Island gets in the game. And ladies and gentlemen, I think COVID-19 has probably been the most convincing reason for Rhode Island to have high-speed broadband internet. Whether we're working remotely from home, our kids are distance learning, or it's telehealth, it's incumbent on us to provide fast, reliable, and affordable internet for our residents, our municipalities, and our small businesses. The committee received 23 letters of support from municipalities, Secretary Pryor of Commerce, and also the Newport Chamber. This is the first step, Mr. Speaker, and in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to take the first step. So with that, the Committee on Innovation, Internet, and Technology moves H5148 Sub A, Rhode Island's broadband bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you for all the work you've done on this over the last several years. Chairwoman Ruggiero moves passage, seconded by Representative Carson, Representative Speakman, Representative Rangel-Vassar, Representative Donovan, Representative Amore, Representative Henrys, Chairman Abney, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Beer, Representative Phillips, Chairman Craven, Representative Morales, Chairwoman McEntee, Representative Batista, Representative Norrie, Chairman Shanley, Representative Agello, Chairwoman Villa-Wilkinson, Chairwoman Williams, I'm sorry. My mistake. Representative Shawcross-Smith, Chairwoman Fogarty, Representative Cortravan, Representative Kazar, Representative Constantino, Deputy Speaker Lima, Chairman Bennett, Floor Manager Edwards, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Representative Kislak, Chairman Hull, Representative Tabone, Representative Lima, Representative Giraldo, Representative Felix, Representative Magor, Representative Messier, Representative Barrows, as well as Whip Kazarian. There are no other seconds. On the bill, Representative Rangel-Vassar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know what's the matter with this crazy stuff. I stand in full support of this bill, and I am so grateful for our wonderful rep, Ruggiero, who sponsored it. And I know she referenced, I know you referenced the first step, which is so true, but I have the second step. And the second step would be to create free, high-speed internet for every family in Rhode Island. And you're absolutely correct, because what COVID has shown us is the digital gap between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. And I've seen this working remotely, where so many students were not able to, they were absent from class because they were not able to get on because they have no high-speed internet. I am getting a little emotional on this because this is so personal. And this is something that I see every day. When I call my students who are working or at home, and I say, why aren't you on? And they said, I have no internet. And so while Cox has said we can do $50, I say thank you, but I say that's not enough. In order to close the wealth gap, the digital gap, the economic gap, the skills gap, we must. It's a moral imperative. And I so agree with you, Rep. This is the first good step. But we know, and the president has agreed with me, and he said, we're going to inject Rescue Act funds into Rhode Island where we can pay for this. We can pay for this, and I think we should. COVID has shown us a lot of things, and I think our intentions are good, but intentions alone can't work. Intentions are pretty passive. We must act. We must act now. So I am in full support of this bill. I am so grateful for this, but we need to go further by ensuring that we have free, high-speed internet to all of our families. And as you can imagine, I have a bill for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Rangel Basso. Representative Fenton Fung.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rep. Ranglin-Vassell, thanks so much for bringing up a great point about the digital divide, and I think Rep. Ruggiero's bill really goes a long way to trying to set up the infrastructure needed. One of the things we found out during COVID, especially, that was really eye-opening is a lot of our senior towers, our low-income towers, actually don't even have Wi-Fi capabilities. We're not even talking about free. We're talking about it's not there. We're trying to do telemedicine visits with our seniors. They can't log on. They have so much or so little data every month. So it's one of those interesting things. I would also point out that right now there's the emergency broadband benefit. So any of your constituents who really aren't able to afford it, there is a program that is available right now through the feds and just opened up 2 weeks ago. And I'd be happy to provide you some more information. It's $50 off a month, which goes a lot for some families. But also to encourage your different constituents as well. In Cranston, we have a great library system that allows for free Wi-Fi access, and trying to expand that is a wonderful thing. Whether or not we'll get to free, that's a whole different issue, but just to even build the infrastructure at this point, I can't agree with you more. When we're trying to think of it as a cost savings mechanism for us to cut down on Medicaid, different runs to the doctor's offices and whatnot. This is something that we really need to invest on in the next few years, and I look forward to working with many of you guys in the chamber on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. There are no other lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 71 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docket item, please.
Item 8, number 5979.
Chairman Craven.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill comes to us from Floor Manager Edwards. It's a judiciary bill, actually, and not necessarily just the committee, but recommended by the judiciary. And it specifically provides that financial security, insurance, or a bond be required to be posted for any motor vehicle that's registered or that is required to be registered under Rhode Island law. The last part, required to be registered, could be an unregistered vehicle, and that is a hole in the fence of trying to create an opportunity for everybody who gets in an accident to have insurance so that they can pay their fair share. I move passage.
Thank you. Chairman Craven moves passage. Seconded by Representative Knight, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Hawkins, Representative Cardillo, Representative Phillips, as well as Chairman Bennett, Floor Manager Edwards, and Whip Kazarian. Chairman Abney, I'm sorry, Chairman. On the bill, Chairwoman Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the chamber. I have a question to the floor manager, please, because I am concerned.
The chairman will yield.
Thank you. Now, I spoke to the sponsor of the bill to kind of get the real flavor of its intent. And while you clarified in your presentation that it's judiciary, that makes it even more of a concern to me. Because it appears that the language, now there's other motor vehicle language with regards to when we mandated that automobile insurance were mandatory. And that was pretty much the language that was put in there. But in this one, it doesn't say that. And it's talking about vehicles that should be registered or vehicles that are going to be on the roads in the state of Rhode Island. And I heard you say that it's about safety, you know, a protection, I'm paraphrasing, drivers uninsured or whatever, motorists on the highways, on the streets. Well, it appears to me that this is representing another hardship. The verbiage in this bill does not resemble the verbiage in previous law with regards to insurance mandatory. And also, the amounts of dollars for, I would call it a deposit, that they would need to have, and if they don't have it, you know, the fines, the offenses, and all that kind of stuff. It seems to me that this is an issue that's going to affect the poor folks, minority community, and the disenfranchised in the state of Rhode Island. So I need clarification because I am not feeling the language in this bill to be representing what was explained to me that it's representing.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer the question, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the statute, and I'll read the relevant parts because it doesn't take me very long to read it. It's the exact same language that's in the statute right now, which is Rhode Island General Law 3147-9, and that section of the Motor Vehicle Reparations Act this is the section on penalties. And what it does in that penalty section, it just includes all the language about registered vehicles not having insurance, or and extends it to or required to be registered. Now, from what I can extrapolate from 38 years plus of doing this for a living, is that there have been situations where tickets were issued and then they go to the Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal. Because remember, this came from the judiciary. And the defense is, well, it's not required to have it because this car isn't registered. So therefore, it's a whole, if you're trying to make people register their vehicle and get insurance at the same time so that everybody's insured, so that when you get in an accident, you don't have the situation where you're using your own insurance policy under a section called under or uninsured motorist coverage. And that you only have that if it's a comprehensive policy, which is much more expensive than just simple liability. So in that sense, do I think there's a possibility that this could be abused against the poor and the underemployed? Absolutely, I think it's possible.
It will.
It will, but I think it'll affect, this bill will help more people in that anybody can get themselves jammed up when you get hit by someone who doesn't have insurance, especially in an unregistered car. So this law seems to be used not when the car is parked in the driveway and it isn't being used and it's unregistered. They take it out on the road. And that's an affirmative action that I think everybody should take responsibility for. And sometimes that responsibility is you simply can't use the car because it's unregistered and it's uninsured. So I think that's what the court is trying to do here. This came from the Traffic Tribunal. I know when I spoke to the Chief Justice of the Traffic Tribunal about this package of bills that was sent in from his court, he said all of them are to plug holes in the law that have manifested themselves in the context of factual situations where the judges have had to say, well, I can't sustain the ticket for $100 or $500 because the statute isn't clear.
So what happens when, because driver's license for undocumented has been an issue because of safety on the roads of our citizens who are paying due taxes to the state. So what happens in a case for those individuals if they get stopped, right or wrong, because they don't have a license? What happens with this bill passing? What happens there? definitely that punishment is going to be more severe to them than to Representative McEntee. And I'm saying that just because I know she has a good driver's license and a fly car.
And she drives too fast.
I didn't say that. So that is my concern, because when we talk about reparation, hello.
Well, I remember...
30 seconds, please.
I remember, Anastasia, when we discussed the opportunity to license undocumented people, people that were not citizens. They didn't have legal status yet, but they give them a license anyways. And the head of the Rhode Island State Police came in and testified in favor of it. That just triggered that thought right now, because as Jim McLaughlin sometimes says, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're asking that there be protection from getting hit from someone who doesn't have insurance, maybe you should also do it for someone who doesn't have a license.
Absolutely, I agree. So I'm concerned, and I'm concerned with the reparation part, the punitive damage, financial fines that they would put on the individuals. I understand there's a possible good intent, but I'm not too sure who it's really for or against. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Barrows on the bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, thank you, Speaker. The Chairman would yield.
He will yield.
So I think this sounds a bit redundant, because if you already, there is a mandate that you have to have insurance in the state. So yes. I think everybody here has a car. So why this? I mean, and I understand that you said something to do with if it's not required for cars who are parked in the driveway. But it says here it's any owner of a motor vehicle registered or required to be registered. So a car is in my driveway, it's not required to be registered?
Your local municipality, probably under the section of your ordinances where it talks about property taxes, because the municipality wants to make sure that everybody pays taxes on every car. You're not supposed to have plates on a car if it's just going to sit in your driveway. And it has to be only a certain number of them, like a car you're working on, or it's a parts car if you're trying to put together some antique car. But in this instance, I think I can clarify it a little bit more than this bill does in clarifying the issue, is that if somebody takes that out on the road, in other words, it doesn't stay in the driveway, then it's an unregistered vehicle, and the unregistered vehicle, there is no, it's illegal now if this bill passes, but previously it wasn't required to have insurance because it isn't registered. And it's not supposed
I
to be
think
on the...
if somebody was to take my car that's in my driveway, he would be stealing it. So there's already a crime been committed. So I really don't see why we need this bill.
I understand your point, but it isn't always somebody stole a car. It's sometimes it's a child or a kid or someone's other car is broken and it's in the shop and I got to get to the store and they take out that car, the car that's not registered, and then an accident happens. And believe me, I can tell you, I'm sure we can sit here and ponder many factual situations where this is less fair than it is right now. But I believe that the judiciary is trying to fill the hole of somebody getting hit by a car that's unregistered, uninsured, and they end up getting stuck with the bill to fix their car and take care of their injury.
But it sounds like a money grab for me, because I think it's redundant. But thank you very much.
Fines, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative McLaughlin on the bill.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I'm in full support of this bill. You know, we all know right from wrong, okay? When we get in a car, get behind that wheel, we know we have to have insurance. Case closed, you know? I look and I say, are there other modes of transportation? Yeah, you know, bikes, buses, you know, stuff like that. It's a choice that people make, all right? For the people that have insurance, they don't want to pay, okay? So if you intentionally get in a car, get behind that wheel, and you don't have insurance, that's what we have laws for. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Phillips on the bill, please.
Thank you, Speaker. And I think I can answer Representative Barros's question in a scenario that happened many years ago when I was in the automotive industry. And I used to sell auto parts, and people would always repair cars or would take an antique car, as Chairman Craven has said, and start rebuilding it. After a certain period of time, they had it almost road ready, and what they were doing is they wanted to test drive it to make sure what they were doing was correct. Well, this 1950, I think it was a 56 Ford, but 57 Ford, whatever it was, but the guy took it on the road, the carburetor spring popped off, it went to full throttle, and he hit a couple of cars. So there's a real life scenario that happened, I'm gonna say 25 years ago, but they were repairing a car, they took it for a test drive on the vehicle, on the road, and they got into an accident with a few vehicles, and I think this is a way that we can close that loophole, as Chairman Craven had said. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chairwoman Williams, for the second time, please, on the bill.
I appreciate everything that's being said, but it's quite evident that the things that are important as well, when we're talking about safety and closing loopholes and making sure that everybody's equal and what's good for the geese is good for the gander and justice for all and reparations, we need to remember that we have an issue in this state of a group of people that was stripped of a privilege that was never abused. And I know the majority of you in here are sick and tired of hearing about justice and equality and black and brown and yellow and green. I know yous are. But at the end of the day, if judiciary wants to close loopholes and do the right thing, they should be advocating for safety for all. If they want to make sure that everybody is insured on the road, they need to make sure that everybody has the proper credentials as far as licensure when they are on the road and they're insured and they can get to and from their destination. There wasn't a problem before, and now there's a problem, and they're gonna be taxing us on top of it. Those dollars being the fine, we are gonna be the ones that's gonna be paying those things. Don't play me like an old violin, baby. I keep talking about them blue suede shoes. Honey, one size don't fit all. And this bill is another money grab. And listen, we're in here doing the people's business, and we're in it all together. Not just the greedy, but also for the needy, okay?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Whip Chippendale on the bill, please.
No, thank you, Speaker. Without objection, I'd like to be recording the affirmative on item 7, please.
Item 7?
Item 7, please, yes.
So ordered. And with that, there are no other lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All representatives, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 57 in the affirmative, 13 in the negative. The act prevails. Next docketed item, please.
Item 9, number 6048.
Chairman Craven, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill comes to us from Representative Phillips. It's an act related to the courts and civil procedure. And what it does is it takes a traffic tribunal matter and gives it jurisdiction over the adjudication of alleged violations of harassment of hunters, trappers, and fishing laws. I believe that this was in the district court, and the district court didn't feel as though it belonged in the district court, and the Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal decided that they would take on this matter, and so it just simply transfers jurisdiction from where it was previously, which I believe was the district court, in the sense of its civil fines transfers it to the Traffic Tribunal. It's a good bill. The judiciary asked for it, and I move passage.
Thank you. Chairman Craven moves passage, seconded by Leader Blazajewski, Chairman Corvese, Chairman Bennett, Representative Cardillo, Representative Hawkins, Representative Phillips, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, as well as Whip Chippendale, all seconding. There are no lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 69 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 11, number 5669.
Chairman Azanaro, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Members of the House. House Bill 5669 is an act to amend the language of the lease of the Benefit Street Armory between the state of Rhode Island and the Providence Marine Corps of Artillery. This act would authorize the Department of Administration to amend a lease dated June of 1852, dated between the state of Rhode Island and Providence Marine Corps of Artillery, their successors and assigns, authorizing the use of the hall rented to the Corps to promote the arsenal and to sublease the space in the arsenal. It's a good bill. The Benefit Street Armory is in dire need of upkeep, and by them being able to rent out some space in the armory, it would help them to maintain this facility, which we should all be willing to do. So I urge everyone to pass this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Azanaro moves the bill, seconded by Representative Rangel-Vassar, Chairman Abney, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Agello, Representative Cardillo, Representative Norrie, Chairman Shanley, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Chairwoman McEntee, Chairwoman Fogarty, Floor Manager Edwards, Deputy Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, Representative Lombardi, Representative McLaughlin, Chairman Hull, Chairman Corvese, Chairman Bennett, as well as Representative Place, Representative Price, Representative Barrows, Representative McGaugh, Representative Falella, Representative Tobin, Representative Casey, and Representative Donovan. There are no other seconds on the bill. Representative Agello.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I'd like to thank Chairman Azanaro for putting in this bill and the committee for recommending passage. The armory is in my district. It is indeed in sorry shape. I have been in it in recent years a couple of times for community meetings, and it would be wonderful if it could be brought up to current standards and kept up. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. There are no other lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 69 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 12, number 5177, sub A.
Chairman Azanaro, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Members of the House. House Bill 5177, sub A. The Committee on Veterans Affairs recommends the indefinite postponement of the original bill and the passage of the substitute A. This bill is being brought to us by the director, who is in approval of this bill. It brings us into making the eligibility to get into the veteran's home the same as the rules and regulations that the veterans need to get into the veterans cemetery. It's a good bill, and there was no opposition to it. We urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Azanaro moves passage. Seconded by Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson. Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy. Representative Kazar. Representative Knight, Representative Constantino, Representative Shawcross Smith, Representative Cortravan, Chairwoman Fogarty, Representative Agello. Deputy Speaker Lima also seconding. Chairwoman Ruggiero, Chairwoman McEntee, Representative Maslakowski, Leader Blazajewski, Chairman Abney, Representative Donovan, Representative Bia, Representative Cardillo, Representative Hawkins, Representative Phillips, Chairman Shanley, and Chairwoman Williams. Chairwoman McEntee, are you seconding? Yes, she's seconding. Chairman, I saw the head go up and down. I assume it was for me. You're seconding the bill? Yes. Thank you. Chairman Hull, Representative Tanzi, Representative McLaughlin, Chairman Corvasi, Floor Manager Edwards, Chairman Bennett, seconding also. Representative Falella, Representative Tobon, Representative Lima, Representative Messier, Representative Alzate, Representative Felix, Whip Kazarian, Representative Casimiro, Deputy Whip Ackerman, as well as Chairman Casey. There are no lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative vote red. Any in the negative, please vote green. Well, not only that, but she blends right in with Corvasi. Look what she's got. Look what Corvasi's got on. The same clothes as Corvasi. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 69 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 4, number 5836, sub A.
Chairman McNamara, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 5836, substitute A by Chairman Shanley, would ensure that all students who wish to pursue an educational pathway...
Sorry, Chairman. Please continue.
...in career or technical education have access to high-quality programs both within and outside of their community residence. The Act also includes a process and criteria where the CTE Board of Trustees would evaluate CTE programs to determine which programs are substantially similar to each other. The Act would also provide for sharing transportation costs between a sending and receiving district when a student attends a CTE program outside of the student's transportation district. Mr. Speaker, this is about giving our students options. It's supported by the Rhode Island Business Coalition, RIDE, Rhode Island School Superintendents Association, Rhode Island Federation of Teachers, and the Rhode Island Farm Bureau. Can't beat that. And Mr. Speaker, I would just like to add that Chairman Shanley has met with many members of the House to ensure that all school districts are considered in this, and he's done a tremendous amount of work. And with that, I move passage, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chairman McNamara moves passage. Seconded by Leader Blazajewski, Representative Bia, Chairman Abney, Representative Agello, Representative Shawcross Smith, Representative Constantino, Chairwoman McEntee, Chairman Craven, Representative Norray, Chairwoman Bella Wilkinson, Chairwoman Fogarty, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Representative Tanzi, Representative Messier, Representative McGaw, Representative Barrows, Representative Potter, Representative Felix, Representative Lima, Representative Constantino, Representative Alzate, and Whip Kazarian. All seconding, as well as Representative Casimiro. Chairman Azanaro seconding as well. There are no other seconds on the bill. Whip Chippendale, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Prior to getting into my comments, I'm going to offer a little bit of history on this particular bill, which has been in circulation for at least a couple of years, I think since 2019. As we can tell by the sponsors, this is Warwick-centric, and there was a good reason for that. There was a little bit of a contentious debate among those two among that district and the district which I represent, or the school that I represent, Pontiac Regional High School, and The reasoning was that the CTE program, or pathway program as it's known also, was drawing students from other districts, and Warwick was particularly impacted by this as they fall inside the regional transportation district. And at the time, there was very productive dialogue. A lot of superintendents got around the table. Rep. Shanley did yeoman's work from day one on this, really shepherded it through, and made accommodations to the concerns that were out there. My objection to the bill today is going to be out of respect to my school district, which is not in favor of this. The superintendent of my school district is not in favor of this, and I'll explain why. When I initially objected to the first bill a couple of years ago, it was because I felt we were stifling a great program, which was the Pathways program, and Pontiac did happen to have the most robust, most technically advanced, and I think most diverse set of CTE pathway programs. And I think we felt that this was an assault on good education. In fact, they developed a public school model of an ideal educational setting at Pontiac and felt attacked because surrounding school districts that were losing students to Pontiac felt as if they were unfairly losing these students and the money that goes with them. However, my comments at that time were very simple. Competition breeds excellence. And I will hold that to this very day. Competition always will breed excellence. And by way of example, our neighboring sister town of Scituate was losing students to Pontiac as well. And competition breeds excellence. They stepped up their game. They regained almost all of the students they lost. I think that should be adopted. That approach should be adopted. Let's strive for excellence. Let's not strive for mediocrity. That being said, this bill has come a long way from where it was. However, the holdup for me, and I will articulate the holdup, which is simply coming from my district, my superintendent, is that the substantially similar language is very subjective. It substantially similar to me versus the speaker versus the leader can be very different. And currently, Rhode is going to be in charge of that, and the chairman did a great job explaining to me how this was going to work, and I feel much more comfortable with his explanation, but I don't feel completely comfortable because subjectivity on things like this is when we have problems in the future. Secondly, I think there is an issue, and it's been brought to my attention, that what we're doing with this, the proximity language in this, in other words, if a child lives abutting districts that have the same program, they must go to the one that is geographically closer to them. That sort of breaks the molds of our regional transportation districts and will ultimately, according to the analysis of the superintendents, cost more money for the transportation aspect of this. I think neither one of these are fatal to the education system overall, and hopefully what will be a trend towards these pathways and this technical education. But I think they're substantial enough now where, again, I will hold by the objection of my district and represent their will, but we should probably continue to look into the future and how we can better this program and how we can urge districts to adopt excellence and diversity in what they're offering so that all students have the opportunities to take advantage of these outstanding programs, because not everyone's going to be a doctor and not everyone's going to be an engineer. So we want to make sure we offer all of those things. Again, my objection today is a representation of the people who sent me here, but I do look forward to a day when we can have a more robust and educational system with choice, which this is, involved in it. I look forward to that as we go forward, and that is the four corners of my objection to this bill. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Whip. On the bill, Representative Carson.
Thank you, Speaker. I have a question for the sponsor or whoever will yield to that.
The chairman will yield.
Thank you.
The chairman of the committee.
Thank you very much. Yes. I just would like you to please review for us how the transportation costs will work.
Certainly. If you look at the legislation, page 4 of 6, at the top of page 4, lines 1 through 10, the sending district shall pay the average per pupil expenditure of the receiving district. The sending district, when paying out-of-district tuition for CTE students, when two or more substantially similar programs are available within the school district, And it goes on to say that basically they split cost, and I think it's, if you read it, it's fairly clear.
Right. So I have a concern on that. So Newport has a fairly successful career and technical program way on the southern side of the city, by the way. And students come from all over Newport County to attend that program. So there's no other program in Newport County. So if a student is enrolled in the Portsmouth schools and they would have been driven to the Portsmouth Public High School, that cost would be absorbed by the Portsmouth School District. But to get them to Newport, there's going to be an additional cost to get them to Newport from Portsmouth, and that's going to be picked up by Newport.
Thank you.
No, the sending district is going to pay the entire cost because it's within the transportation region and it's the closest available school.
Okay.
So the sending district will pay the entire cost.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, there are no other lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in favor, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 61 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative. The act prevails. Next docket item, please, Clerk.
Item number 10, number 5669. Excuse me, whatever. Number 5600.
Chairman Shanley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is sponsored by Representative Agello, and it corrects an oversight in that the General Assembly was not previously subjected to risk-limiting audits. This was an error in the original legislation. They were intended to be subject to those audits. That's all this bill does, is make the General Assembly subject to the risk-limiting audits. Passed unanimously through committee. There was no testimony in opposition, and I move passage.
Thank you. Chairman Shanley moves passage, seconded by Leader Blazajewski. Representative Agello, Representative Shawcross-Smith, Chairwoman Fogarty, Representative Cortravan, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Chairwoman Bella-Wilkinson, Representative Morales, Chairman Abney, Representative Henrys, Representative Donovan, Representative Speakman, Representative Carson, Representative Kazar, Floor Manager Edwards, Chairman Corvasi, Chairman Bennett, Chairman McNamara, Representative Kislak, Representative Magor, Representative Messier, Representative Stephen Lima, Representative Felix, Whip Kazarian, all seconding. Any other seconds? Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, you seconding? No, he's not seconding. Okay, sorry. Representative Tanzi is seconding, though. Perfect. There are no lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in favor, please vote green. Any in the negative, vote red. All members, please vote. Clerk, please lock the machine. 69 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. I believe that concludes today's calendar. Thank you. We are now on to announcements and introductions. Announcements and introductions. Chairman Abney, please.
Announcement, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
The House Committee on Finance will meet immediately in room 35 at the Rise.
Thank you. Chairwoman Williams, please.
Announcement, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Pursuant to Rule 7D and the fact that 5979 passed and all of the racial profiling that's going to be occurring because of it passing, racial profiling, I will be submitting a bill to do arrest of all of those individuals that will be arrested because of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Representative Rangel Vassal, please.
Where's the voter?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request, please.
Proceed.
I have a House resolution, Mr. Speaker.
Please send it up. You would like it for immediate consideration?
Yes, and this would be for immediate consideration.
Thank you. You have the consent of the majority and minority leader?
I do.
Thank
I do.
you.
I'd just like to read something that I've written. Mr.
Sure.
Speaker.
Proceed.
This resolution honors my constituent, Rocco Mercatio of Newberry Street in Providence, who turns 100 on June 8th. His family's honor. That is amazing. His family's honoring him with a well-deserved party this weekend. As World War II began to escalate, he went to work at Wandsworth Mill manufacturing military uniforms. But once Pearl Harbor was bombed, he enlisted and became a corporal in the Army. Mr. Mercatio's division landed on Utah Beach, and he fought important battles that led to our nation's continued freedom. When he returned to Rhode Island in 1946, he worked for 33 years at Old Stone Bank. He also married Alma, the love of his life, and they raised 4 children in the home where he still lives today and where I walk by all the time. Sadly, Alma passed away at the age of 90 after 67 years of marriage to Rocco.
Oh.
Wow, this is just amazing. This weekend is 4 children, grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren who will be celebrating his 100th birthday. Mr. Speaker, I wish my constituents, Mr. Mercatio, who lives independently at home, a very, very happy 100th birthday. Let us celebrate.
We wish him happy birthday. Representative Caldwell.
Thank you, Announcement Speaker.
Proceed.
Thank you, everyone. In honor of Wear Orange Day, which is Gun Violence Awareness Day, a group of us are going to be on the steps at the Rise to take a photo, and I invite anyone who wishes to honor the victims of gun violence to join us quickly so that we can all get to our committees promptly afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Craven.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I was up in front of the rostrum, I missed my vote on number 11. I filled out the form, and I'd asked that my vote be recorded in the affirmative.
So ordered. Representative Baginski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the permission of both leaders, I'd like to submit for immediate consideration a solemnization of marriage so that Representative Shalcross Smith can marry her grandson later this month.
Please send it up. That will be a machine vote. Please send that up. Thank you. We'll vote on that in a minute, please. Chairman Solomon.
Requested announcement.
Proceed on both, please.
Request to be recorded in the affirmative on item number 4. That's House Bill 5836 sub A.
So ordered.
And announcement being that the House Committee on Corporations will be meeting at the Rise in the House Lounge. We will be voting, so I would ask you to be prompt. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Casey.
Thank you, Speaker. Without objection, could I please be recorded in the affirmative on items 4 and 9? I was out of my seat at the time of the vote.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Kislak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I have an announcement, and with the permission of the leaders, a motion for immediate consideration.
Proceed on both.
Thank you so much. I'm here today announcing that it's Pride Month. It's June. And I welcome all of you to come celebrate with me. And I wanted just to take a moment to celebrate my gratitude and love for the diverse and beautiful LGBTQ community that I'm a part of. We are all human beings, and love is love. I just want to take a second to also thank this General Assembly and this House for the supportive bills that we've passed recently, including this year, and I want to share my gratitude for that. Before I was a member of this body, we passed marriage equality. I remember standing outside on the lawn while my boys who were little then rolled down the grass in celebration of the signing of marriage equality. Just a few years ago, thank you, Representative McEntee, for sponsoring the Parentage Act and everyone who voted for it. And hopefully this year, the bill sponsored by hopefully this year by Representative Edwards sponsored a bill that will hopefully also pass in the Senate. We voted on a bill a few weeks ago to make bathrooms more accessible, single-stall bathrooms more accessible to folks no matter what their gender. And so all of this is really important ways government helps people, and we are doing that. And I want to thank all of you for supporting the LGBT community together with me. I want to issue an invitation. There is a flag raising tomorrow in Biltmore Park at 5 p.m. in Providence. There is an event tonight in Cranston at 6 p.m. And perhaps you all have events to attend in your own cities and towns across the state in celebration of the LGBTQ community. I have a motion for immediate consideration together with the Speaker, Chairwoman Ruggiero, both the majority and minority leader, and so many others, and we'll leave it up on the desk also, and I request that it be read at the rise.
Thank you. Thank you. Please send it up. Clerk, we're going to do a machine vote. I have an act relating to the solemnization of marriage from Representative Baginski with against Senator Majority Leader for immediate consideration. This act would allow the Honorable Mary Ann Shawcross Smith to join Megan T. Amrell and Mitchell Shawcross in marriage on or about June 21st within the town of Lincoln, Rhode Island. Clerk, please unlock the open the machine. All those in favor, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. Mary Ann Shawcross Smith, I think you need to recuse.
Recuse myself, thank you.
I think so. We thought so. Thank you. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 54 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Congratulations to your grandson. Get Rebecca. Representative Felix, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to make an announcement, please.
Proceed.
Thank you. I would like to extend my congratulations to Carrie Betancourt for being named Pawtucket District Teacher of the Year for years 2021 and 2022. Ms. Betancourt is a Pawtucket native, a special education teacher at Jenks Junior High School, and works with 7 students in grades 6 and 8. Who have severe intellectual disabilities. She receives this award not only for her education of her students, but also for her passion and commitment throughout the pandemic to ensure that they had a safe environment for all. So congratulations to Carrie, and thank you for your work for our community.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Chairman McNamara, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a House resolution for immediate consideration with the agreement of both leaders to express the deepest condolences on the passing of Arlene Ramona Maynard. So I would move passage of the resolution, Mr. Speaker, and then I just have a few comments.
Please send it up.
Mr. Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, Arlene Ramona Maynard, well known in our city and state, called sister by her family and friends, has a long history of public service in our state, starting with Head Start, working with the former Treasurer Solomon in his office. She was a voter registrar. She was the Rhode Island Democratic State Committee woman for the 19th District, also served on the executive board. She was a member of the 1985 Constitutional Convention, the NAACP Urban League, and she organized, Mr. Speaker, the Young Minority Democrats of Rhode Island. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, she was a mentor for many young women in the state of Rhode Island, including our colleague, Chairwoman Grace Diaz, and it was her inspiration that helped inspire young women for public service, and we are so appreciative of a state for her value. Her memory lives on, and her good deeds also live on with those that she mentioned, like our dear Chairwoman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairwoman Diaz, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I like to request record affirmative for item 3, 4, and 2, 3, and 4. And also, Mr. Speaker, I want to join the chairman of the State Democratic Party in the condolences to the family of family Minar, because on top of the great things she has done for the state, she was my constituents and my district woman committee, who I was so proud to serve with. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Representative Kazar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Resolution?
For immediate consideration?
I'm sorry, yes, for immediate consideration.
Thank you. And you have the consent of both the minority and majority leader?
I do.
Proceed, please.
Okay, thank you. This resolution is in recognition of the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. I understand from many people I've spoken with this year that this was something that many folks didn't ever get the opportunity to learn about in school, and I think the 100th anniversary of this event is a good time to make sure that it's something folks are aware of. As a result of segregation and inaccessibility of resources throughout the United States, communities sprang up like the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that were predominantly Black-run businesses and institutions, churches, and theaters and places for people to congregate, and certainly, obviously, places for people to live. 100 years ago, this Monday and Tuesday, there was a terrible massacre in which over 300 people were killed. As many of the individuals who were removed from the area were put into mass graves. We don't know for sure what the total devastation was for that community. But in less than 24 hours, 35 city blocks were destroyed. And 6,000 Black individuals were detained. And this was all as a result of a conflict that had occurred that was perhaps, some say it may have been just a misunderstanding. After all of that devastation that was wrought by a mob as well as police officers, not a single person was ever arrested for that damage. And the Greenwood community, although obviously against many odds, worked very hard to reestablish, but never quite got back to the same Black Wall Street that it was prior to the massacre. So this resolution is in honor of the folks who perished, and to make sure that that legacy lives on and people understand what happened, and that we're able to recover and change our history going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative. Chairman Azanaro, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 7D, on the next legislative day, I'll be introducing an act relating to registration of vehicles with veterans' plates. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairwoman Williams, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would respectfully ask that what Representative
Kazar. Liana Kazar.
I had one of those moments.
I have them every day.
Yes. If that would be read, we are in a teaching moment and a learning moment. And there are many people, including in this chamber, that are clueless about what happened back then, 100 years ago. And it would be very appropriate that we start learning and sharing, because many people still are in denial. Even one of our colleagues who has publicly made statement of the untruth about that. So I think this will be very appropriate, and I request that it be read, even though many people may not be listening, but it's definitely a teaching moment, seeing that we have some of the information at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 3 more lights, but we will read it before we adjourn. We'll take this one and read it before we adjourn.
Thank you.
Representative Batista, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to ask to be marked in the affirmative on item number 12, please.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Rangel Vassal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I concur with everything that Rep. Kassar said. This is truly a teachable moment for all of us, and especially for those of us who are not paying attention, because what happened 100 years ago, a century ago, speaks directly to the marginalization of Black people, but also it addresses wealth and income inequality. And everything that I learned, and I've learned over the years, is that so many of those people left Tulsa and relocated. That is not okay. And if we do not study and learn this history, we are certain to repeat it, as horrendous as it is. So thank you, Representative, for bringing this to our collective attention. It is very important. And by the way, Black history, African American history is America's history. And we will not be erased. We're not going to be erased. So thank you. I also have an announcement, Mr. Speaker. It's going to be short. My auntie's going to just, yeah. But I want to say happy birthday to my Auntie Violet, who celebrated her birthday yesterday. And I love you, Auntie. My auntie is the reason why I'm standing here in this seat today. She was sponsored here as a domestic helper, and she sponsored my mom, who then sponsored myself and my siblings. So if we want to, it would be really nice to put our hands together for my auntie, who is the reason I am here today. Thank you. I also want to do a really quick shout out to my friend and committee chairwoman, Kathleen Forte, who also celebrated a birthday recently. Happy birthday, BFF. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Leader Blasajewski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Announcement, please.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just one announcement. We will be meeting in session next Tuesday here in the House chamber. That's next Tuesday, June 8th at 4 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Clerk, would you please read Representative Kazar's resolution? Just a moment. Just a moment. I have a House resolution recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, moved by Representative Kazar, seconded by many others. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, please read.
House resolution recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Whereas in the early 1900s, many black individuals and families settled throughout Oklahoma, setting up vibrant communities and dozens of all-black towns, the most famous and prosperous of which was Tulsa's Greenwood District, where individuals sought new opportunities, freedom, and a chance for a better life. And whereas segregation and the inaccessibility of resources led members of the black community to open a variety of commercial establishments, including rooming houses, grocery stores, barber shops, beauty salons, restaurants, clothiers, pharmacies, movie theaters, dance halls, pool halls, confectionaries, jitney services, and professional offices such as for doctors, lawyers, dentists, and accountants. And whereas the Greenwood District became a thriving community where black business owners, schools, and churches flourished, and by the 1910s, it was the wealthiest black community in the United States. And whereas churches such as Vernon African Methodist Episcopal Church, the Mount Zion Baptist Church, First Baptist Church, North Tulsa, Paradise Baptist Church, Metropolitan Baptist Church, and others became central to the family life and culture of the Greenwood District. And whereas by 1921, the community was home to thousands of black residents who lived and worked in the most prosperous black community in the United States. And whereas the community earned the name the Negro Wall Street of America, later simply known as the Black Wall Street, from the famed African-American author and educator Booker T. Washington. And whereas, as the opportunities for black families grew, the community began to attract more black families, business owners, well-educated professionals, and individuals fleeing racial oppression and discrimination in other states. And whereas an incident occurred on the elevator between Dick Rowland and Sarah Page, an elevator operator, and she had screamed. The next day, after a police investigation, Dick Rowland was detained at the Tulsa Police Department for questioning before being moved to the Tulsa courthouse for additional security. And whereas on May 31st, 1921, the Tulsa Tribune released a sensationalist story claiming that a black male had attacked a white girl. And whereas that story and long simmering tensions in the city led to a large group of white individuals surrounding the courthouse and demanding that Dick Rowland be released so that he could be lynched. And whereas a group of black men traveled to the courthouse to help defend Dick Rowland from the angry mob. And whereas after a scuffle at the downtown Tulsa courthouse, white rioters pursued black men to the Greenwood District and the violence escalated. And whereas houses and businesses were looted and burned throughout Greenwood District, and attacks lasted well into the next day before being quelled by the Oklahoma City National Guard. And whereas in less than 24 hours, 35 city blocks were destroyed by fires, and 6,000 African-American individuals were detained. And whereas it has been reported that 300 black people died during these events, but it is impossible to know for certain because as part of the local cover-up of the massacre, the sheriff banned funerals from taking place. And whereas some black people were charged with rioting-related offenses, however, none of the estimated 1,500 white officials and citizens who participated were prosecuted for violent criminal acts. And whereas out of 23 churches that were located in the Greenwood area prior to the 1921 massacre, only 13 survived, and only 3 churches were able to be rebuilt after being destroyed: Paradise Baptist, Mount Zion Baptist, and Vernon AME Church. And whereas outside of the massacre area, 5 churches were able to rebuild after being destroyed. And whereas the black citizens in Tulsa began rebuilding the Greenwood District immediately, with church services resuming the following Sunday. And whereas 100 years later, the residents and businesses in the Greenwood District carry on the legacy of resilience and determination. And whereas Greenwood is a home to thousands of individuals and families who make important contributions to their city and the United States, and are therefore countless minority-owned businesses in Greenwood that drive the local economy. And whereas there is still much work to do to heal the community and ensure all people in Greenwood have the promise of a brighter tomorrow. And whereas Greenwood is a community still scarred by the 1921 Tulsa race massacre, but not defined by it, now therefore let it be resolved that this House of Representatives of the state of Rhode Island hereby commends the important work of groups such as the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission, the John Hope Franklin Center for Reconciliation, and others who work tirelessly to ensure the story of the Greenwood District is accurately told and remembered. And be it further resolved that this House hereby believes that while significant progress has been made in the 100 years since the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, there is still work to be done towards racial reconciliation, which can only be accomplished through open, respectful, and frank dialogue. And be it further resolved, this House hereby encourages families of all races to invite families of different races to their homes to have discussions on race, with parents setting examples for their children on how to engage in a conversation that will build better understanding of and respect for people of different races. And be it further resolved that this House hereby urges all the people of Rhode Island and the United States to continue seeking greater understanding, dialogue, and closer connections to people of different races. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and hereby is authorized and directed to transmit duly certified copies of this resolution to the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission, John Hope Franklin Center for Reconciliation, the Honorable Joseph Biden, President of the United States, and the Honorable Daniel McKee, Governor of the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you, Clerk. I have a House resolution celebrating and commemorating June 2021 as Pride Month of the state of Rhode Island, sponsored by Representative Kislak, seconded by myself, Representative Filippi, Leader Filippi, Leader Blazajewski, Chairwoman Ruggiero, and many, many others. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a House resolution expressing the deepest condolences on the passing of Aileen Ramona Maynard, presented by Chairman McNamara, seconded by myself, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Diaz, and Leader Filippi. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a House resolution brought to us by Representative Ranglin Vassal that is honoring Rocco Marcio on the occasion of his 100th birthday next week. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a House resolution by Leader Blazajewski, seconded by Leader Filippi, expressing condolences. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a resolution extending congratulations by Leader Blazajewski, seconded by Leader Filippi. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Is there any objection to transmitting all matters on the clerk? Oh, I'm sorry. We have two lights for recognition. Chairwoman Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to not only thank you and the clerk who read it very well, clearly, like he always does, but I also want to thank my colleagues who were very tentative to what was being read, what was being shared. And I know that some of you did not until now know some of the facts that were shared. So with all my heart, I thank you for your attention, because I was certainly looking and checking out who was listening and who was running their lips. But that's okay. I believe that some of you are taking back some information that you did not know about when you entered this building today. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you. Representative Tanzi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can we go back to new business?
We can.
Thank you.
Representative Tanzi with new business. Representative Whip Kazarian with new business. Any other new business? Representative Beer, you have new business also? Please, thank you. Next order of our business today is any objection to transmitting all matters on the clerk's desk to His Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Senate, and the Secretary of State forthwith. Hearing none, so ordered. Leader Blazajewski moves that the House adjourn in memory of Aileen Ramon Maynard, seconded by Leader Filippi. All those in favor, please stand for a moment of silence. The House is adjourned. The desk will remain open. Thank you.
House resolution honoring Rocco M. Macaccio on the momentous occasion of his 100th birthday on June 8, 2021. Whereas the year 1921 was a difficult time in the history of the United States, Warren G. Harding was president, and the economy was just beginning to rebound from the forgotten depression, which had preceded the Great Depression. Such were the times when Rocco Macaccio was born. And whereas Mr. Macaccio is a very proud first-generation Italian-American and the fourth child in a large and close-knit family of Vito and Margaret Macaccio. And whereas at the age of 16, with employment opportunities scarce, Mr. Macaccio left home to work at one of the country's civilian conservation corps far from home in Colorado. He returned to Rhode Island to work at the Woonsocket Mill, which was manufacturing military uniforms as the war in Europe began to escalate. And whereas once Pearl Harbor was hit, Mr. Macaccio enlisted, even though working at the uniform plant had qualified him for an exemption of military service. He was soon sent to training at Camp Edwards and subsequently assigned to the 90 mm Battalion in the 132nd AAA team, where he shortly thereafter became a Corporal T5 technician. And whereas Mr. Macaccio's division was one of the 2 American divisions to land on Utah Beach and later participate in Elb Day, which was an important step toward the end of World War II, but a day that saw many brave men fall. And whereas upon returning stateside in 1946, Mr. Macaccio married the love of his life, Alma. A few years later, together with his best friend Andrew, he built the home that he and Alma would come to raise their 4 children in, and which still remains Mr. Macaccio's home today. His family now also includes his children's spouses, as well as 9 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. And whereas in 1983, after more than 33 years, Mr. Macaccio retired from his position as building superintendent at the Old Stone Bank. Sadly, in 2013, after 67 wonderful years together, Alma passed away at the age of 90. And whereas Rocco Macaccio led a noble and full life, replete with love and family, and his courage and service to our country as a member of the greatest generation brought honor and distinction not only to himself, but to an entire world. And we are happy to join in his joyous birthday celebration. And resolved that this House of Representatives of the state of Rhode Island hereby joins the family and friends of Rocco Macaccio in wishing him a very happy 100th birthday, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and hereby is authorized and directed to transmit a duly certified copy of this resolution to Mr. Rocco Macaccio. House resolution joyously celebrating and commemorating June of 2021 as Pride Month in the state of Rhode Island. Whereas annually, June is the month chosen to celebrate Pride, a time for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual LGBTQIA+ communities, and all Americans to reflect on the struggles and injustices endured by LGBTQIA+ communities. It is a time to take pride in progress that has been made since the fateful Stonewall riots in 1969 in Greenwich Village. which were in response to rampant discrimination by police and a legal system that was hostile to the community. And whereas LGBTQIA+ people still experience harassment and discrimination based on their sexual orientation and gender identity locally, nationally, and internationally. LGBTQIA+ people of color, and particularly trans women of color, face greater disparities in the area of health, housing, and criminal justice, are many more likely to be the victims of fatal violence. And whereas, although much progress has been made, including, but not limited to, gaining civil rights protections in Rhode Island in 1995 and 2001, winning the right to marry in Rhode Island in 2013 and nationally in 2015, more progress needs to be made. And whereas Pride is a time to celebrate the right to life authentically and to be proud of who you are instead of ashamed by a social stigma that was, unfortunately still is, a reality in our society. And whereas, in order to form a more perfect union, America was founded on the principles of equality and liberty and justice for all. But for too long, since our nation's founding, LGBTQIA+ and many other Americans have been denied those precious rights and freedoms that were supposed to be granted to all. And whereas, in this month of June, the LGBTQIA communities will be celebrating notions of love, equality, understanding, respect, acceptance, and justice, and the belief that love is love, that trans rights are human rights, and expressing solidarity in the continued fight for social justice against all intersecting forms of oppression. Now therefore be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island hereby joyously celebrates and commemorates June of 2021 as Pride Month in the state of Rhode Island. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be hereby is authorized and directed to transmit duly certified copies of this resolution to the Honorable Joseph Biden, President of the United States, the Honorable Daniel McKee, Governor of the State of Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Congressional Delegation, the LGBTQ Action Network, the TGI Network of Rhode Island, SAGE Rhode Island, PRYSM, Youth Pride Incorporated, Project Weber Renew, Open Door Health, Black and Pink, and Thunder Mist Health Center. House resolution expressing deepest condolences on the passing of Aline Ramona Maynard. Whereas it is with sincere sadness, this House has learned of the passing of Aline Ramona Maynard, beloved wife of 62 years to the late Richard Matthew Maynard, cherished mother of Kim Rochelle Maynard, Tanya Maynard, and Richard Maynard Jr., and Serena Reed, and the proud and doting grandmother of 5 grandchildren, Dominique Bonds and her husband Ty, Diamond Maynard, Tyler Lewis, Kyle Spencer, and Trinity Rucker, and 2 great-grandchildren, Layla and Landon Bonds. And whereas Mrs. Maynard, fondly known as Sister by her family and many friends, was the daughter of the late Alan and Sarah Bonet, and the loving sister of Claire Lunsford and her husband Eugene, and the late Blanche Taylor and Gloria Smith. And whereas upon graduation with honors from Central High School, Mrs. Maynard worked at the State of Rhode Island's Department of Employment Security as a clerk stenographer, and later as the assistant to the director of Gilbert Stewart High School. She subsequently joined the Providence Head Start program, working as the career development coordinator, and was awarded scholarships to attend Roger Williams University, where she received her associate's degree, magna cum laude, followed by a bachelor's degree, cum laude, in public service, administration, and political science. And whereas, after earning her degrees, Mrs. Maynard became the personal assistant to then General Treasurer of the State of Rhode Island, Anthony J. Solomon, and later worked as an executive administrative assistant for the National Education Association, and the Providence American newspapers. In addition, she was clerk in the Senate Majority Leader's office, had worked as a state of Rhode Island voter registrar agent, and was appointed by the governor to the Rhode Island Commission on Criminal Justice. And whereas a lifelong Democrat, for 12 years, Mrs. Maynard was elected as the Democratic State Committee Woman for House District 19 and served as a Rhode Island Democratic Party Executive Board member, board officer, corresponding secretary, and was a member of several committees. She also served as a Rhode Island constitutional delegate from 1985 to 1986 and organized the Young Minority Democrats of Rhode Island. And whereas Mrs. Maynard's astute political insights were often sought by new and aspiring politicians, she utilized her wealth of knowledge and years of experience helping campaigns to plan strategies to fight injustice, racial inequality, and promote community change. And whereas, in addition, Mrs. Maynard hosted a television news program with Hank Bouchard called Take 12, and was a member of the NAACP, the Urban League Guild of Rhode Island, serving as a past president, was a member of the Prince Hall Masonic Temple family, a past illustrious commandress of the Daughters of Isis, Constantine Court number 8, a Ream chapter number 3, Order of the Eastern Star. And whereas Aline Maynard possessed strength, courage, and a strong social conscience, she served as a role model and inspiration to many. She will be dearly missed. Now therefore be resolved, this House of Representatives of the state of Rhode Island hereby extends its deepest condolences on the passing of Aline Ramona Maynard. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and hereby is authorized and directed to transmit duly certified copies of this resolution to Kim Rochelle Maynard, Tanya Maynard, and Richard Maynard, Jr.